Hello and welcome to a new series that I'm going to be doing specifically for YouTube. This series is going to be initially a set of guides that I'm going to use to introduce you to Ratropolis. Show you all of the mechanics, how the game works, how the what the cards do, the advisors, the abilities, everything from the ground up. I'll be giving basically a card review as well of all the cards that are in this game. Well, most of them. I'll talk about that here in a minute. And then from there, I will transition this series into a more let's play sort of laid back focus. Probably put up like 30-minute videos every afternoon of Ratropolis. Just doing, probably gonna do here normal mode, normal random runs with varying heroes. Hopefully they add in a random option for these guys. Now, when I talk about the cards, I do need to disclose that I open up this game. It is currently 4 in the morning on a Friday, early Friday morning, and finally gonna get around to recording this guide. I've been kicking this idea around for so long, and open up the game. Oh, what's that? That's a new character. That's right. So my card review and my explanation of the characters will exclude everything related to the navigator for now, and that's the sort of thing that will just get appended into the series as I go along, more or less. So as I play more and more games, and like, let's play this game. God, how about that term, huh? But as I play this game, I will give my thoughts on these cards as I unlock them and play with them. But for now, what I'm going to do here is first I'm going to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Voix. I'm a Twitch streamer making my first dedicated foray into YouTube here with a game that I quite enjoy and I think could use some YouTube content. I've noticed that there's not a whole lot of great guides out there for this game. There's like a few tips and tricks stuff, but I'm going to give you a comprehensive guide to walk you, the viewer, through all the way from your first wave 30 clear, and then I will even get you up to, hopefully, clearing wave 120. Wave 120 is interesting. It's something that, though I haven't done in a long time, it's more of a time restriction. I don't feel like sitting down and playing this game for 3.5 hours, but one run for 3.5 hours. That is. However, I think that it's the process, and I will be explaining to you the process of how to clear wave 120, which I have done in an earlier patch in early December. There's a video of that, which is going to be pretty clear. But it's an old patch. Things have changed. There's a lot of different things you have to do now, I'm sure. But now that all that out of the way, you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Voix64. That's Voix64. You'll see me live every night, 10:30 Eastern Time. I don't stream Ratropolis right now. Mostly stream Slay the Spire, playing a little Darkest Dungeon as well. But if you want to come in there and talk to me about Ratropolis, I would love to. We can talk about cards or, builds, any crazy theories you got, anything, you name it. I really do like talking about this game. So yeah, come on over anytime. Hit me up. We can talk about rats. And I have a Discord as well where I announce what I'm going to be streaming. And I can see myself doing some Ratropolis streams in the near future, especially with this new guy out. I'm excited to see him. He looks real fun. But now that that's all out of the way, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna get into the very basic mechanics. I'm gonna probably play through the first 5 waves, if I'm thinking clearly here. 5 waves is probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 5 waves on Forest to give you the very, very basics. Extremely, extremely easy, nice, easy in sort of thing. I'm just going to quit the run, bring you back here, explain what the characters do, and that's going to be this video. Then the next video will be most likely going into card review. Just going to review economy, then military, then building, then skill. I'll probably we'll see how long it takes me to review all of these cards. I have a little what I'm going to say about each one for you. And then from there, I'm probably not going to review enemies because I'll review those as we encounter them. We'll talk about the advisors briefly for each one, and I think that'll be it. After that, I'll just be uploading, hopefully, daily content of just probably wave 30 normal clears, like I said. Maybe if I'm really feeling spicy, I'll try mixing in a wave 120 clear, but those are big time investments. So we'll see. We'll see. If you have something specific you want to see, like if you want to see an updated wave 120 clear, I would be more than happy. Leave me a comment down below and let me know. So without any further ado, I'm going to play, probably going to play a normal run. Nah, I'll play easy because it's a lot. No, I'll play normal. Yeah. So first things first, let's just 6 heroes to choose from. I'll walk you through those after I explain the very basic mechanics. This is your map selection screen. There's 3 different maps. The first 10 waves are always the same. Well, they're not quite always the same. They have 3 separate bosses that can occur, but they are shared. They're not map specific. And then wave 10 through 20 and 20 through 30, which is all of the waves. There's 30 waves total. Don't think I mentioned that one. My bad. Change, and the bosses on those waves change, except for I think Forest and Desert share a boss on wave 23. I've been getting a bunch of information down to compile into this video. I've been researching, and by researching I mean just playing this game and writing down what I find. But without any further ado, let's get into it. Oh, there's a tutorial. I've never played the tutorial. Let's just go right to it. So right out the gate, after this loading screen anyway, you're gonna see it drops you and you hit the ground running, right? So here's your interface. First thing you can notice, there's a pause button. You can hotkey this as well. Here we are. While paused, first things first, let's talk about that. You cannot interact with anything. You can move the map, but that's about it. You can hover over redraw, but you can't hover over cards. But here's your interface. It's very straightforward. You have up in the upper left what wave you're on, the amount of gold you have, and the amount of population you have. In the upper right is advisors. You can show or hide this. We don't have any advisors. Pause button, your menu. This is the redraw button. This is cards that you've played, cards that are still in the deck, and cards in your hand. This is your leader ability. I will explain these in the future. So let's get into the super basics here. Gold. It's money. It's very straightforward. It's currency. You spend money to play cards. Each card has a cost associated with it in the upper left, and they all do something. How do you generate gold? That's going to be through economy cards. So your starting deck consists of 1 different card based on character. This card right here, Gather, is specific to the character I'm playing, which is the Merchant. But you also will start with, oh, you can't open the card bag while paused. Interesting. You start with Potter, you start with Grain, you start with 3 cheese, you start with a Militia, you start with a Guard, and 1 more. What am I missing here? What card do I not have? Oh, you start with a House as well. So, economy cards, there's 4 types of cards. Economy cards are the green cards. They generate you money in some way. So, play Potter, it costs me 17 gold. You get 10 gold per card in your hand. Potter is counted when you play it, so this card will generate me 50 gold. This is cheese, same thing, you play it for money. Grain is a separate card. This is a labor card, which is different. It is going to cost you population, which is our second resource up here, Radizens. So there's 2 types of ways to spend Radizens. One of them is on labor cards right here. So we play Grain. For the next 60 seconds, this 2 population is used in this labor. And then the other way to spend them is on military. So you play military cards on the walls here, like this. And now, while this guy is out here, he costs me 1 population. Similarly, while these guards are out, they're going to cost me 1 population. When they die, you don't lose the population. It goes back into the pool. So it's not doomed like that. I'm not going to explain what all the cards do right now. I'll do that in a later video. I'm just going to explain you the very basic mechanics. Your third type of card here is a building card. These cards are different than the other cards. As you may have noticed, when I played these cards, they were put in my discard pile to be redrawn when I hit the redraw button, which I'll explain here momentarily. But building cards are different. They're single use and they provide you a permanent benefit. So this house, it takes up 1 space. That's the thing in the top right. Costs you 50 gold. It gives you +4 Ratizen, +1 tax. So when I play this, you will see my Ratizens will go up to 9 total and I'll gain 4 standing. And I'm going to pause here because there's a lot going on. My tax goes up. Tax is collected every 5 seconds, I believe, and it's just the number next to here. You gain tax from buildings. There's some buildings that give you tax, and I mean, that's it. It's just from buildings. There's also a card that can affect it, I think, as well. You just saw our first wave come in. First wave is nothing scary. When you kill enemies, they have a bounty. The bounty gives you money. There's ways to manipulate the bounty as well. That's a mechanic that I'll explain when I'm explaining cards as well. Let's see. The only other mechanic that I really feel a pressing need to explain is the redraw mechanic. So when I hit play here, there's the treasure chest mechanic as well. When I redraw, I will draw 5 new cards and discard my hand. Then I can play you get to play cards in your hand, right? And then when you're out of cards to play, you can either wait this timer out or you can pay the cost that is floating on top of it to redraw immediately. So if I want to redraw right now, because I don't want to play either of these cards, I click this button, and then I pay 20 gold to redraw. Now, at the end of each wave is a treasure chest. There are 5 rewards from basic treasure chests that you can see. You will see a random selection of 3 every time. Those 5 rewards are get gold, level up your leader ability, build a house. This just gives you 1 house card, and then add a card or remove a card. I will demonstrate the other 2, add a card and remove a card when we see them. For now, I'm just going to pick build a house because that's pretty. Every 3 waves, you will see a merchant. He will show up and he will give you the selection of 8 cards. The merchant always has a wall. He always has this question mark ability. And he always now has this refresh button. If you have not purchased any cards and you go, man, this shop is real bad, you can press this button to get a new set of 7 cards. Now, the most important thing to note about this is that you will not see another wall when you press this button. For me, the shop is pretty good. I'm going to grab these 2 cards and we're going to move on. Now, what does the wall do, you may be asking? Why is that such an important thing to note? I will show you here. So you may have noticed our space is very finite, right? These cards, they cost space. Eventually we'll run out of space. With a wall, you get to expand your territory, is the short of it. I'm gonna hero ability here for 3 gold. That feels bad. This isn't the normal open that I would experience since I'm taking it slow and explaining everything. We're having a bit of a rougher time here. We did get a market though, which is pretty nice. The 4th type of card that I have hinted at is a skill. When I see a skill, I'll grab one. They're similar to the other cards. So one of the newest things in a latest patch is you can now look at the card reward without committing. So when you choose, these are the other 2 options, get a card or remove a card. When you choose to get a card, you will get the option of 3 random cards, the rarity of which is determined by which wave you're on. I haven't quite sussed out the rarities yet, but it seems like you can see your first rare card as early as wave 4 and your first epic card as early as, I think it was like wave 7 or 8. But for now, we're going to see all common cards. I think that with this change, you always want to choose this option and look at the cards at least. I can at least show you a skill card if nothing else. Essentially, what skill cards do is they do something. They don't generate you money like economy cards. They don't play a unit like military cards. They give you an effect. This effect can range from, for the next 15 seconds, all your military units move faster, to upgrading your walls, to oh geez, drawing cards. They're basically the other category. For this, I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to remove a card and demonstrate that. So, when you remove a card, you choose a card that you don't want anymore, and you just send it away. And this card will never be seen again in your deck. You can see this card again from merchants or pick them up in card rewards, but it's not like discarding the card, right? It's essentially, we will never see that grain again. Good to remove the starters because you only draw 5 cards per turn. You want to get yourself to a position where you can consistently draw your important cards, is my philosophy. So remove cards as aggressively as you can without dooming your economy. Now, there's two more things for me to illustrate here, and then we will be ready to return to the menu. And I will walk you through what all of the heroes do. So this is the first thing. There's events that occur when certain things happen. I'm working out a chart of all of the events and what causes each one because they're not all random, but some of them are. But essentially you'll get a little bit of text here, and then you'll get to make a choice. These events occur, like this event occurs after your first wall gets placed down. You get to choose between these two options. Not all events are good. I will illustrate the seeded events. The first seeded event occurs at the end of wave 4. For now, I'm just going to take an advisor. Okay. Advisors are permanent passive benefits that you get for picking them. So this advisor is the sniper. It gives you the musketeer card. This is a legendary unit. Costs 3 population, is very expensive. And I'm going to die if I don't pay attention here. That would be embarrassing. But this guy is going to give all of my musketeers a bonus to their attack range. This event is similar to the whale event in Slay the Spire. Essentially, as long as you live till wave 10, you get a benefit after wave 3 of one of 3 options. This event will sometimes be all bad, but for the most part, you get good. I'm just going to take 100 gold here. And I'm just going to get a card here. You want to look at the cards, but I don't necessarily want anything here. It doesn't matter, mostly, because I'm not going to be playing this one through for much longer than 1 or 2 more waves. I may die, but that's mostly just because I've not been focusing on making sure that I'm not going to die. Right? I've been mostly focusing on explaining everything. So, from this position, what is there else to show you? There's events, and I want to illustrate the first boss wave. Essentially, every 5 waves up until wave 20, and then wave 20 changes the rules. Well, after wave 20, it changes the rules. You will see a boss. The bosses start out relatively easy. You just need to make sure that your basic unit counters whichever boss you're facing. So, for example, you don't want to have a bunch of guards versus the guys who spit over the walls. And you don't want to have a bunch of melee dudes against the really fat guys. Now, this is the first event that is seeded. This event always happens at the end of wave 4. You get 3 options here. Remove a card, plus 100 gold, or plus 1 leader level to lose half your gold. And what you pick here affects future events, all the way to the final event. So this is where the game kind of differentiates itself, I think. I really like this system. If I pick They Have My Condolences, then at the end of wave, I think 9, I don't remember exactly. I have it all written down, but I'm not going to go grab the piece of paper. You will see a different event than if I pick Burial Rites, than if I pick Give Them a Proper Burial. So what you want to do, you can, as you learn it, you can kind of manipulate to give yourself the benefits you want to get by making a smart choice here. For now, I'm just going to pick Remove a Card. And I'm going to remove Musketeer. This is a philosophy that I'll get into in a more advanced video. There's one more thing I want to illustrate, which is the boss wave. And I'll hit you with some other basic information that I probably should have hit you with sooner. The only thing that I don't have for basic information that I should have, I'm realizing, is how long between each wave. What I can tell you for sure is that from when this indicator pops up, you have 15 seconds. There is an advisor that changes that rule, but other than that, in that one specific circumstance, you have 15 seconds from when this pops up to when they will arrive. And the time between waves is set. So from when this wave spawns to when the next wave spawns is set. It is not based on when you finish this wave, so if you try to delay for too long, you will get overwhelmed. Also, this isn't the boss wave. Am I crazy? This is new. I'm going to illustrate the refresh option. This is another new card. I'm real excited to play with these, but I'm going to stay away from them for right now. I'm not going to buy anything here, but you can see the refresh option in action, right? Now we have an all new set of cards, but no wall. Really love that mechanic. Like, truly could not have asked for anything. This is a market. This is one of the buildings that I placed down. You'll see a lot of markets in my games, hopefully, because they're really good. They give you card selection. But all of that is more of a future video sort of thing. I just want to show off the boss waves so that you can get a feel for what the bosses look like. The first boss, anyway. From there, I'll go back to the menu and we'll talk about leader abilities, and then I'll probably say goodbye and probably then start the card video. Going a little longer than I wanted, but you know, I think this one's looking like it's going to be about 25 minutes, which is not terrible. So on the first 10 waves, there are 3 bosses you can see. You can see the spitters, the fat boys, or the runners. They have official names, but I don't use them. You can tell what you're going to face by what you're facing on the previous waves. So like, I know that this is going to be, well, I think that this is going to be the big spitter, so I'm not going to put out too many guards because, yeah, he destroys guards. Like, he really, really kills them, but he has no way to deal with militia because they just walk up and beat him up. Also, wow, I did 42 damage. I think that Musketeer is not very good, which is why I removed him. However, he's making a strong case here. But that's what the bosses look like. That's your very first boss. He's not much, but the next wave is 2 of them, and then from there it kind of expands. But the other thing I wanted to show off is the boss wave treasure chest, right? When you beat a boss, you get a different treasure chest. This treasure chest has 4 options instead of your typical 5, and you will see 3 of them here. Your 4 options are territory expansion, get 2 houses and a defensive wall, upgrade a card, which just lets you upgrade a card. As a rule of thumb, your card upgrades become 50% more effective. So for illustration here, plus 10 gold to plus 15 gold, but it costs you 9 more. 9 more? Yeah. So it's basically just not always great, but typically pretty good, right? Guards, similarly, they gain plus 1, plus 2, which is half rounded up. Seems like they use a half rounded up sort of situation. The other option is you get this is a random advisor from the pool. I think it's based on, I think the advisor rarity is based on something. And that something is the wave that you're on, but I do not know which advisors are considered rare or not. I have no way to know that. And then the 4th option is get a legendary card, which now that you can look at the legendary card and go back is really good, because you can look at the legendary card and see if it's good or bad. The card rarities in this game aren't exactly linear. There are some common cards that are better than some legendary cards. There are some really bad legendaries, but there's also some game-changing legendaries, so it's a mixed bag. That's more or less all of the basics. I think I covered everything other than using active hero powers, but that's something that I will cover on the title screen. Just let me do a mental checklist, make sure I hit everything that I wanted to hit here. I also have a little thing on my side monitor here. I think I did. I'm going to go ahead and give this one up. We're going to go back to the main menu. I'm going to walk you through the characters now that I have laid the foundation. At the end of the game, by the way, you'll see points and card unlock. So how many waves you last, how many buildings you place, and how much time you spend will give you your total score. Your score goes into the unlocks. You need, however many points to unlock. There's 3 total unlocks. So there are 6 heroes now. I cannot speak about the Navigator because I've not yet played him. This is, like I said, we're going to learn this as we go. Each character has a passive and an active. I'll start with Mr. Merchant here. Merchant's passive is discount. You get 25% off when you buy a card from a merchant. So all of his stuff at the shop is 25% cheaper. I believe that gets rounded up for you. So in the case of cheese, it is usually 5 gold to buy that card from the shop. And with the merchant passive, it is 3 gold. So you get 2 gold off, which is technically 40%, but that's just to illustrate that it rounds up. And then deal. You discard 1 card plus 1 per leader level. You saw how to level up your leader ability through chests. There's also buildings and advisors that do it. But the main way you're going to do it is through chests. So 1 plus 1 per level, random card from your hand, and gain 10% of your total gold per card discarded. So in a theoretical scenario, let's say you have this ability at level 2 and you have 1,000 gold. You press the button, you will discard 2 cards from your hand, and you will gain 20% of your gold, or 200 gold. So you will finish that with 1,200 gold. It's an okay ability. I like the merchant the most. He's definitely my favorite character, mostly just because I like the discount. But deal, it's been nerfed into the ground, in my opinion, but it still can help you supplement your economy once you get big. Like once you get up into the 10,000 range, this starts raking in some big money. Next character is the General. His passive is Standing Army. You get +2 population for every military card in your deck. So starting population is 5, right? And as the General, since you start with 2 military cards, he instead starts with 11. It's a really strong power in the early game, lets you pump out and really get snowballing fast, but the late game applications of this are scarce. And then Train. Give a +1/+3, +1/+3 per leader level, ephemeral buff to all military cards in your hand. Ephemeral just means that after the card leaves your hand, the buff goes away. So you can't stack this forever, but you can give it to a unit once or twice. I think that this is the strongest active ability in the game. The reason for that is that if you get this up to level 5, say, this is going to give +6 +18. Is that right? Yeah, +6 +18. And there's a card that you unlock as the General. It says one of his last unlocks. It's called Rally. It lets you play it on a wall, and it bounces all of the units at that wall into your hand up to the size limit, which is 10. So up to 10 units into your hand, and then you can buff them again. Each unit, when they're played, becomes their own instance of the unit. So if you play 2 militia, but one is a 5/12 and one is a 2/6, I don't know what their base stats are, very sorry. But, in this hypothetical, it doesn't matter. And you bounce them back, they will both retain those stats. So say you buff a guy up to 200, for example, 200 attack, 200 health. You can bounce him back to your hand and then buff him again to like 202, 206, That's where the big application of this is in making singular units that are extremely strong. You can end up with basically starter units that clear the map because they have such high stats. Next character is the Builder. His passive is Expansion. You can upgrade constructed building cards by using the same building card. Essentially what this means is if you place down a house, you can then place down another house on top of it instead of putting 2 houses side by side. The applications of this are limited because placing 2 houses side by side is more efficient. If I go over to the glossary here for a moment, I'll go to the house section. You see, what it does is it upgrades it, so you'll go from a level 1 house to a level 2 house. So you go from +4 +1 to +6 +2. But this costs you 2 houses. So if you put 2 houses down side by side, you would have +8 +2 instead. So you get more efficiency for playing these buildings next to each other instead of on top of each other. However, when you get to a later section of the game where your space is maxed out, I think that is okay. Like it's a fine passive. It's one of the better ones in my opinion. But it's not. You don't want to always upgrade. When you have the space, you want to place your buildings as wide instead of tall. And then his active is Blueprint. You get discard 1 +1 per level random card from your hand, and you gain a random ephemeral building card for each card discarded. Ephemeral, again, just means you have to use it before you discard it. But the big thing about this is that since they're building cards, you essentially get to use this power for a permanent benefit. I think that this ability is really strong. It's a pretty good active. The only downside is it has a longer cooldown. It's 90 seconds. And it's high variance. Sometimes you get some absolute dog shit buildings, but sometimes you get some real good ones. So it's a mixed bag. I like the builder though. I would say he's my second favorite after the merchant. Next up is the scientist. The scientist passive is focus. Using a skill card reduces your leader ability cooldown by 5 seconds. Not much to explain about this. Playing skills lowers your cooldown of your leader ability. And this is your leader ability, your active. And the active here is Discovery. You get to choose one of 3 plus 3 per leader level random, ephemeral, 0 cost skill cards. This ability recently got reworked, but essentially what it means now is the higher level your Discovery is, the more choices you get. So if this ability is level 3, you get to choose one of 9 cards, and they cost 0. So I don't like the scientist. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't play him a whole lot. When I cycle through the characters, I tend to skip him, but he's okay. I think that the change to Discovery that they made recently makes him a lot better, because what you can do now is you can just level this ability up, and then you can always pick whichever skill you need in the moment. The thing to note is that it's ephemeral, which means that you have to play it right away, or else it's going to go away. Essentially, you use this hero power in emergencies to dig yourself out of a jam, I feel like, or use it to maybe generate yourself some more income through skills like drawing you cards. I don't know. I'd have to play him a little more to really get the application of it. Even though I've played a good amount of him, I just don't really like him, because I think that you kind of get shoehorned into playing a skill focused build, and I don't necessarily like those. So the first 4 characters are all based on a specific card type, right? Merchant is based on economy, although he's the most distant from his card type, I think. The general is based on military, the builder is based on buildings, and the scientist is based on skills. You get into the shaman, who is different. Shaman is the first character they released in early access after releasing the game. Started with these 4. The shaman introduces a new mechanic, which is called soul, which essentially, some cards have soul on them, which just means that when a unit dies while that card is in your hand, it gains a stack. This is something that I'll go into more detail on with card explanations in particular, but the shaman basically plays around these soul-based cards, and she can make good use of them. Her passive is medium, +1 soul on unit death. I'm not 100% certain on how this works, but what I believe is that the shaman generates 2 soul per unit death instead of the normal 1. However, I could be wrong about that. Feel free to let me know in the comments if that is incorrect, and I will, I don't know, I'll amend it I'll pin the comment, probably is what I'll do. So check the comments to see if that was incorrect. But I believe that's how it works. And then her active is Ritual. Obtain 1 + 1 per leader level soul for each card in the card tomb. Card tomb is just the word they use for the discard pile. I have trouble with this ability, mainly because there's 3 barriers to entry with this ability. 1, you need to have enough cards in the discard pile to make this worthwhile. So you need to, it's not like you don't lose anything, but it's really underwhelming if you're giving yourself like 4 soul on things. Soul is something you want to stack up very high. It caps at, I think, 10,000, but it might be 1,000, but I'm pretty sure it's 10,000. So the first problem is you need to have a lot of cards, and I think that having a lot of cards in this game is bad. The second problem that I have with this ability is that you need to not draw your soul cards in the first cycle. So if you draw your soul card on the first turn, the most you're going to be able to get out of it is like 4 if you play every other card in your hand. That being said, if you want to build a soul focus, I think that this character is great for it. I don't play a lot of soul focus. I haven't actually played much with soul-based skill decks or anything like that. I'll pick up a soul card here or there when it suits me, but for the most part I stay away because I think it's a lot of, you know, I think it's a lot more work for less reward. But you may disagree because the reward is pretty good, and I think that it's a big piece of flexibility to be able to play with soul cards. That's going to do it. I'm not going to talk about the Navigator because, like I said, I haven't played him. I'm going to leave this guy for probably the Let's Play. I'll probably, when I move into the Let's Play version of this series, I'll probably start with this guy and learn him live so that we can do all of the learning. But he looks like a lot of fun. I really, really like the look of this guy. So yeah, I believe I've done everything I wanted to do here. This video came out to be a little longer than expected, but there's a lot to go over. This game, despite being fairly straightforward, I think that it can be complex if you don't get introduced to it in the right manner, and you may just end up sitting there going, man, what the hell's going on here? So now, hopefully this helps you get introduced into the very basics. I will be back in a video, I don't know when this is going up. I believe this will be going up tomorrow afternoon, so Valentine's Day afternoon should be when you're hearing this, or if you're hearing this down the line, check the YouTube. There should be videos going over all of the cards. Oh, sorry, statistics page. All of the cards with the exception of the Navigator's cards, which are locked. And yeah, after that, after the card explanations, I'm probably just going to go right into Let's Play version. Probably explain advisors as well, actually. But these are also something that you can explain as you go. Other than that, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me ramble about the mechanics of this game for almost 40 minutes now. I really do appreciate it. This is the first video in my video making career of YouTube, and you know, it's a bit of a barrier to entry. It's a little hard to get into this mindset and stay articulate for 30 something straight minutes, right? So if you enjoyed, hit me with a like, drop a comment, ask me any questions. I'll be sure to reply, and tell me if I got anything wrong as well, and I'll be sure to acknowledge your comment. And subscribe. More Ratropolis content, as well as some stream VODs from my stream. Yeah, I think that's everything. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.